Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Kaylee. I am a part-time reseller on eBay and Poshmark. Today I wanted to come on and show you a little bit about my inventory process, kind of how I store items, how I retrieve them, some of the supplies I use, and so on. When I first started reselling, I didn't realize how big of a task inventorying would be, and I actually didn't think that my business would grow as big as it is today. So I didn't actually start with an inventory system when I first started reselling. It wasn't until my store started growing and growing and growing, and I realized I needed a better way to organize. So if you're looking for a new method to store your inventory, or if you don't currently have an inventory system and you would like to start one, then please stay tuned because I am going to show you my method for inventorying items. Okay guys, so I am fortunate enough to have 2 rooms dedicated to my reselling business. I did not always have this, and I realized that not a lot of people will have the kind of space that I have, or maybe you even have more. But depending on what your situation is, this method should work for everybody. Essentially, you are just going to use totes and you are going to use an alphabet numeric system, and I am going to show you mine right now. Okay guys, so I am in the lower level of my house and this whole area is kind of mine. So you can see right here I've got my super messy office, and right next door I've got my inventory room. So walking in, here I've got a bucket for when I go grab my items to ship. I'll just carry this around and shove everything inside and then bring it on over to my office over there that you just saw. Here I've got a few accessories, hats, belts, jewelry, and then right here some of the like little handbags that I get are all sitting right here. You can see I have got all of my shoe racks here. I purchased most of these off of Amazon. I believe they were like 35 bucks. If I can find it, I will put a link in the description. In no particular order, I just throw them up wherever there's like empty space here, and then I look and grab them whenever they sell. I thought about cleaning this area up for you, but this is the reality of being a reseller. So this space back here needs another rack, and then I need to find a storage solution for these. Right now, these are currently mostly like longer boots and stuff that are too large to fit on my racks right here. So these shoe racks only hold shoes that are like low top, and then on the top I am able to put shoes with like knee-high boots and things like that. But obviously I have more rack space for the low tops than I have for the high tops, so those are just sitting in baskets right here. Needs to be cleaned up, but I didn't want to clean it up and pretend like it was perfect over here. It's not. This is a box of t-shirts I've got in another store, which I don't share. But that's where I'm keeping those. Those also need to be inventoried, and I haven't got a storage solution for that yet. Here along this ledge, I store my ties here. So I got these at the Dollar Tree, so they only cost me $1. I thought they were cute. They are just cardboard corrugated file holders. I'm not sure if every Dollar Tree sells them, but I'm running a little low on ties. But you can see kind of in this one, I've got this double stack, so there's actually ties underneath here, and I just fold them up nicely. I feel like it's like the perfect width to inventory ties. I would eventually probably put like label that tie box A, B, C, maybe that way I know where they're at, but because I don't have very many right now, they're just in these boxes, so great for ties. Here I have all of my bras. Again, not in any particular order. If I have a small amount of something, I don't usually put an inventory number on it. I just know where it's at. I got these hanging racks at a thrift store. I'm sure you could probably get them online if you search them, but they just hang on my commercial racks right here. All of these racks I got off of Amazon or eBay, and you can see that they are rolling, so whenever I have to move, it makes it super easy. I also like getting everything off the ground, so that's another reason I chose those. You can adjust the shelves, and you can see I've got bins labeled by number, and then all those bins are sitting on my racks, and I even go pretty high up just because I am trying to save as much space as possible. That's one of the reasons I have this little Costco stool right here. So whenever I need to get on top, I'll just set that down, grab my buckets. I also did not clean up this area just for full transparency. All of my larger pieces are in large Amazon boxes. I get my dog food in these boxes, so I'll just cut off the sides and then label it, and then put my larger items in those boxes, and then put that in my custom SKU on eBay. That way I kind of know where they're at. And then these are just hanging up. These are not inventoried, meaning they don't have an inventory number. So whenever something large sells and I see that it does not have an inventory number in the SKU, it's a large item, I know that it's going to be in this closet or in the other closet in the other room where I also store bulk items like this. Because I have amped up my store, I, to be honest, have like a bunch of really large items. So this has kind of gotten out of hand, and I think what I'm going to do is label the closet. So back to the totes. They are kind of in order. I've got my like own little system here. So I have mine labeled on the tote by letter, and then within each of these, so this is like tote E. I've got like E1 through whatever, and usually I can fit close to probably like 25 to 30 items in here. So if I pull this one out, it'll be in these bags, and I just write the inventory number on the bag, and then it goes, I just throw them in here. Now, a lot of people like to have theirs in order, like meaning that E1's here, E2's here, E3's here, E4's here. That's how it started, but as I've put more items in there, I just don't even bother. I just find the item when it sells. Sometimes I do have to get the bucket down and then go through the items to try and find it. But usually if you know what color you're looking for, you can pretty much pick it out of there pretty quickly. I did run out of the single letters, so I went A through Z. And then I ended up having to start back on double letters. So I think what I'm going to do is like AA, I've got BB down there, CC, and then back over here, I'll probably put that rack up and then keep on going. Okay guys, so some things that I'm looking at upgrading or changing to my inventory is, I think since I'm starting to get more into shoes, I think I'm going to put like rack A right here, rack B right here, and have signs hanging on the sides of the rack. I could even go as far as to like label the shelf that it's on. So like for instance, if I wanted to get like this pair right here, and let's say this was rack D, I would probably put in my SKU rack D shelf 3. So then I would come to rack D, I'd see the sign right here and I'd go 1, 2, 3. And then obviously with the picture, I'd be able to find those shoes. Some people like to inventory by putting similar shoes together or even similar clothing together, like in the same bucket, like they'd put all shirts in P or whatever. I don't like to do that because I like the items being different because it's easier to find the item when I go to pick the item to ship. If they were all the same, it would be pretty difficult for me. Like if there were like 10 shirts in there and like 5 of them were a darker color, it would be harder for me to find that item. So that's why I don't mind having shoes, different styles, as long as you put the inventory number on, you can find it. And I think it actually makes it easier when they're not all the same together. So some other things that I am hoping to change, like I said, back here in this corner, I'm going to buy another one of these commercial racks and build that up and, you know, get my double letter bins here. And then eventually, I don't know what I'm going to do with these. If anybody has a solution for like knee-high boots, cowboy boots, like longer shoes, please let me know because I'm like trying to get creative to think of a way to store those and I'm having a hard time with it. One more thing that I'm looking at changing, and if looking back, I would have known this, I would have done this from the very beginning, but these larger totes right here, let me see if I've got a sticker on one of them. Yeah, so like this is an 18-gallon bucket. So like I said, it holds quite a bit of items. If I would have known that I'm going to, you know, have as many items in my store as I do now, I wouldn't have chosen to get a large bucket like this. In the beginning, I thought it was more convenient because for storage purposes, I could shove more in it. But now that I have as many items as I do, it's becoming harder to like take that bucket out and go through 30 items to try and find it. It's not difficult, but it is a lot easier when I have smaller boxes like these. You can kind of see I've started to incorporate smaller containers. This is just an Amazon box I used from something I bought off of Amazon. But that's like the perfect size. I can fit about 10 to 15 items in there. And it's going to make it easier for me when I go to ship because I'm not going to have to dig through so many items. Also, I have a couple people that help me now with drafting items. However, eventually I'm going to want to hire somebody to help me with shipping. And what I don't want is for that person to be picking this tote up here and injuring themselves because this is quite heavy because it's got so many items in it. So I am going to move towards smaller totes slash containers, and I will show you those here in a minute, the ones that I've kind of moved on to. But I am going to eventually replace all these, and I think I'm going to bring these shelves because they are adjustable. I'll bring them down. That way I have more racks to put the smaller totes. It is more expensive that way to buy the smaller totes, but if you're thinking ahead for the future, just my suggestion, wish I would have done that from the beginning. If you're planning on growing and stacking things high, possibly even having an employee, definitely would recommend not with the big totes, smaller totes. Okay, so as you guys can probably tell, you know, not all of my bins are like the same color or the same size. I kind of just did whatever was cheapest at the time. If I came across a sale on totes, I would go ahead and pick them up. Right now I am, as I talked about, getting smaller bins. I'm starting to transition to these, and I got these off of Amazon. I don't remember what the size is, but these are the totes that I'll be using, and as I expand, I will kind of break those larger totes up and then continue using these for any new bins. So yeah, these are great. So I just want to say, like, you don't have to have a perfect, pretty inventory room to get the job done or to be organized. I used to have an issue before I had an inventory system, not being able to find items when I had quite a bit. With this inventory system, I very, very rarely have any issues. Even with my bulk items that you saw, you know, I know that they're going to be in a closet, and if they're not there, then I probably don't have them. So everything is labeled. You can get super, super detailed. I mean, you could type in like upstairs closet on the left-hand side or whatever you wanted to do. You could be super, super detailed if you wanted to. It's all just about what works for you. So this method works for me. And now I just want to talk about a little bit how I use this to my advantage. And if any of you are new to reselling, maybe you don't even understand the inventory system. So I'm just going to show you a couple of behind the scenes. Okay guys, so this is my whiteboard over here. So when an item sells, I will write down the inventory number on the board that that item belonged to, and that lets me know that this inventory number is free and ready to go. As you can see, I have a lot written on this board. Best practice would definitely be to, when you're listing the item and making it active, to go ahead and assign it an inventory number. However, that's just not reality for me. That is not how I like to work. I like to draft a bunch of items, photograph a bunch of items, and then inventory those items. So I like to do everything in bulk. To me, that is the most efficient way. These are all inventory numbers that could be assigned somewhere. Now, next to my photography setup, I have a box right here, and I keep it right by my photography studio. That way, when I'm done photographing the item, I can just toss it in here. And then eventually, whenever that item is either drafted, ready to be listed, everything is done and it just needs to assign a number, or sometimes they're even active and then I assign it a number later. Today I have some that are already active and just need assigned a number. So in this case, what I will do when I'm ready to inventory my items is I will get a clear poly bag and I will write as many of these as I need on bags. So I've got some right here, and I just use a permanent marker. Some people like to use removable labels and such. I just write it strictly on the bag. I've never had a buyer be upset about receiving it. And I also think it makes you look more professional when your item has an inventory number and the buyer receives it. Okay, so now that we have put those items into a poly bag and written on the poly bag the inventory number, we're just going to go on eBay and search for this item in our active listings. First one I have is an express top. Now I do filter by the start date for the most recent. That way I can always have the item I'm looking for towards the top of the screen and I don't have to go searching through anything. So I'm just assigning it a number here. Again, this is the number on the bag. And you can also see here that I have also put the cost of my item in the custom SKU as well. So that is another great thing to use the custom SKU for. You can also use it if you are cross posting. So you can see on the bottom there, I had that one. In the custom SKU, I had typed in Posh, so that means that I cross posted that onto Poshmark. So here I'm just going on to my next item and adding in its custom SKU, and then eventually when all of these have been added, and you can see how quickly this happens here, I'll go back into my inventory room and just put all of those away. Just for sake of showing you, you can do anything you want with the custom SKU. If you want it to be super specific, you could type basically anything in here that you wanted so that you remembered where you had put the item in your home. This can be helpful for people who don't have a lot of storage and maybe you're putting it in nooks and crannies. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. If you guys have any suggestions on a better inventory system, or maybe you just want to share what your inventory system is like, some things that have worked for you, some things that have failed for you, it would be helpful to me and also other resellers that are in the comments. So if you have any questions, please also drop those in the comments down below. And thank you so much for watching. I really enjoyed making this video.